you see that? Did you see my hair go like that? But as you guys could probably tell from the thumbnail and title of today's video, I figured I'd have a sit down, serious conversation with you. I was debating on going live about this, but then I realized I'm not gonna be able to get everybody on one live just like that, because if I were to try that, I'd be sitting there for a long time, like a very long time. So I decided to just go ahead and do a long form video. I know as of right now where I'm sitting on YouTube, I'm not gonna get too much engagement onto this video, but I know in the near future as I grow, I will start to get more and more engagement on this video and other videos. So for those of you that are watching currently, if you're new, please sure to subscribe to my channel if you're new. Hit that bell so you never miss an upload, and like this video if you did enjoy it. Please share it, because I'd also like to raise some awareness during this video. So of course, by the thumbnail and title of this video, I will be talking about some major accidents I've had in my life with motorized vehicles, with just bicycles, or just by playing around with things you're not supposed to be playing around with. Coming in at number one, I was at a church rally, I think it was. I can't remember what it was. I think it was a Wednesday night. We had this thing called Royal Rangers. We'd kind of have arts and crafts in the back. We'd involve the Bible and stuff. We'd talk about God and all that stuff every Wednesday night. And we would kind of be like army type things. It was like, I guess you could say Boy Scouts. I don't know. It was not like Boy Scouts. It's like the Navy, because we would do these like marches and stuff in church sometimes. Like I remember this one big march we did in church. It was just something I've never done before in any Sunday school class or any Wednesday night children's church class. And mind you, I was very young when this happened, but I had a very old friend. His name was I enjoyed hanging out with him every Wednesday. We were great friends. We didn't have any issues, and probably not until this happened. So I can't remember the exact date or the exact time, but I do know it was somewhere between the time zones of 7 and 8:30-ish. But we were playing outside. I think we were playing volleyball before all that, and then we decided to start doing something else, and the whole youth was outside. I think it was like a church rally we were having, actually. Yeah, it was a church rally, I think. They were doing barbecues, and youth was out there, everything. We were doing youth stuff. They were playing volleyball. Some other people were playing volleyball prior to this incident. They had the volleyball nets up, and you know those volleyball poles, how like they're kind of heavy. So they're like heavy steel poles. They're made for, of course, not being able to move as people play the game. But and we were playing some kind of tag, I guess it was, and I guess he got the decision to go ahead and pick up one of the volleyball poles. And mind you, they were taking the nets down. They took the net down and everything, so it wasn't connected to a net. But he decided to take one of the volleyball poles. And as I was running, mind you, I was running full speed at him. He picked it up and he pointed it straight towards me. Bam! Right into that pole. Right there, right here in my gut. For you guys, it's on the right side of the screen. For me, it's the left side. But right here, like right around here, is where I got hit. I got pretty much impaled by a pole, and it was painful too. I'm surprised I didn't end up in the emergency room. That's just it for that story. And then pretty much the same thing happened in this other story. Though this story did occur, probably I think it was before this pole incident happened. If not, it was probably like the second injury I've had. But I was riding my bike, and I using this little rock in my driveway that I'd always like to ride up and down, because I had a long driveway. Like, it's probably about 150 foot driveway, and it's pretty long. And to this day, I still live in the same exact house with the same exact driveway, just a little bit more modified and a little less rough. But I was riding up and down that with my bicycle, and you know, I decided to use this one rock that stuck up quite a ways out of the ground in the driveway to jump over. And as I jumped over that, I jumped up off my seat, pulled my handlebars back so I'd give myself more leverage. Like how you bunny hop a bike, and I still do that to this day. I was not traumatized from that, surprisingly. But when I came down, the unexpected happened. What happened was when I came down, my handlebar, the whole bike pretty much came out from underneath me. And as I was coming down from the air, the handlebar got stuck facing up. And of course, I landed right on the handlebar. And let me just show you. So again, for you guys, it is the right side of the screen, but for me, it is the left side. So right around here, right in this area. I actually ended up in the hospital. I couldn't walk home. It was hard for me to get up. Every step I took with that one leg, which was, of course, my left leg, it hurt so bad. I couldn't even, or I think it was my right leg. I don't know. It might have been this side. I can't remember. It's been so long ago. But I remember that I could not walk. No matter what I tried to do, I kept falling because I was so weak in that area that it couldn't hold my body weight. So long story short, my parents came to get me after, of course, I had to scream with all I had because I was still like halfway up the driveway, and my parents being in the house where they were, it's kind of hard to hear a child screaming. And that's pretty understandable. But they heard me surprisingly sooner than I thought. They really heard me, and they rushed outside to see what was wrong, and they thought I was over exaggerating, of course, because, you know, some parents are like, you over exaggerate and walk it off. I tried to walk it off, but they soon came to the realization of how bad this whole ordeal was, and my dad quickly helped me walk back to the house. They laid me on the couch, got some ice. This video, you did get a warning at the beginning of it. Viewer discretion is advised. If you feel uncomfortable with what I'm saying in this video and what will be said in this video, like I said, there was a warning before this video started, so viewer discretion is advised. Once again, before I get into this next part, let me just tell y'all exactly where I landed. So I landed right there on, like, right there in the top corner on, I can't remember which side of my groin area. Okay, let's just give it at that. Again, I did put a viewer discretion warning at the beginning of this video, so it was like right there in my groin area, and it just hurt so bad. So long story short, I ended up in the ER. Of course, because I couldn't walk, when we got there, we had nurses rushing up to the car to get me in a wheelchair. And of course, I was kind of like out of it at this point. I didn't really hardly know what was going on. I was like, next thing I remember, I was getting in the car, and then it's like I blacked out, lifted out of the car into a wheelchair. And then they given me ice, waiting in the waiting room. They were trying to make me as comfortable as possible in the waiting room, and I admit it was okay. I was okay. Again, I was still a little bit out of it. I think because I probably passed out, but I can't remember. Who knows? Probably my parents. Who knows? It's been years since that's happened. But doctors soon came out. They got me. I was in a hospital room for the rest of that night, and I don't think I got out until I don't think it was until 2:30 in the morning that I was out of there. Now, the doctors were taking a while to get back to my room. So, what my mother did the unspeakable, and my mother wheeled me out of there in one of their office chairs. My mom was done waiting because we were sitting there literally for like 2.5 hours, probably even 3 hours. We were sitting there waiting on a doctor to come back in the room. The doctor would not come back in the room. Halfway through, a nurse finally decided to acknowledge our presence. And they're like, hey, what's going on? And we told them what was going on. My mom was like, I'm not going to sit here and wait all night for a doctor to come back into the room. So I'm taking my son home. So the nurse agreed, reluctantly, obviously, helped me get in a wheelchair and wheeled me right back out. Now, I don't remember much of what happened after that day. All I remember is I was kind of stuck, not being able to walk for a little while. But yeah, and then fast forward years later, I get my license, and I can't remember any other injuries between that time period and presently. Here's when the big ordeal came in. So I was being stupid on my dirt road, and of course my parents don't know about this, but if one of them watches it, which is probably going to be my mom, maybe show my dad. Sorry guys. But I'm fixing to completely expose myself. I was being stupid. On my way home, I decided I was gonna drift on the road because I was pretty good at it. I won't lie, I was pretty good at it. I knew how to maintain my vehicle, and then I guess the vehicle overturned because of the front end alignment in my car, which is badly out of line. See, the thing is, I can't really get it aligned until I get my front suspension done along with my ball joints replaced, and then I can fix them, which of course I have yet to fix those, and I need to get on that. I've been trying to look for a job, it's just I haven't had no luck. Back to the story. We were coming home. I had my little brother in the passenger seat, of course, and it was lit. These accidents I'm talking about right now, and the next accident I'm going to talk about after this one was just very recently. It was actually this year, 2020. We were coming back home from school, and I decided I'm going to drift. I want to drift. I was pretty good at it before, so I'm like, what's the big deal? It's just a small drift, and I regained control of my car really easily. Like, it was easy. And then the car overturned. Yes, you heard me correctly. The car overturned, and I almost hit the left ditch, but I didn't. So I spun out, and we were heading towards this big tree. I for sure thought, this is how my car goes out. This is probably how we're going to end up in the hospital. All I had was prayers, hopes, and a thought, brace yourself. But we missed the tree by a hair. Meanwhile, we almost literally dove off the side of the cliff. A cliff is what I call it because it's a pretty steep drop into the creek bed from the dirt road. Whenever we came to a halt finally, my wheels were perfectly lined up with the edge of the cliff. We didn't go off. So I put it in drive and booked it out of there to the end of the dirt road, turned around, and just came back home. And I looked over at my brother. Mom and Dad will never figure out about this. But of course I'm telling this story to thousands of you guys, so I guarantee they're gonna find this video. Sorry, Mom and Dad. This next story, which is the last story, of course, I was on my way to school, and luckily my brother wasn't in the car with me, because this one could have potentially been a serious crash and probably would have landed me in the hospital that morning. I was coming down this straight stretch you have to go to get to my school. Highway, there's hardly any traffic on it, so I wasn't too worried about that. But this one morning, there was quite a bit of traffic on it. And what happened was I was taking this turn slowly because I had to turn right into that little road that continues to take me into school, and then of course there's a shortcut, and then you turn left, and then you turn right onto a dirt road, and then my school's right there. But I was turning in, if you guys are familiar with Arkansas, I was turning in by that Morrow store sign. Mind you, I was going real slow. My tire, let me just get ahead of myself for a minute. My tire, nothing on my car was showing any signs of giving out on me at all. Like, if it was, I would have felt something, especially in the car that I'm driving. I would have felt something, and I would have known it. And the thing is, I didn't. I admit, on a curve I hit before that turn, my car did try to overturn a little bit, and then I just, like, kind of got it back. But I'm like, you know what, it might just be the front alignment or something, or I might have overturned just a tad bit and managed to get it back. So I kept going. I managed to make a successful left turn, no spin out, no nothing. And then I got to the Morrow Town Country Store side. I went to turn in, and of course I think I was going like 10 miles an hour. Pretty slow for that turn. Mind you, people usually go about 15, 20, maybe even 25 miles on that turn. I was going really slow for that turn. I was going about 10 miles, maybe even 5 miles on that turn. And there's people coming, like head on, also turning in. And then there's people behind me. And I went to turn in, and I lost it. I ended up in a ditch on the other side of the road. I almost hit a few signs, which could have been brutal and ended me up in the hospital. Because those signs were not signs that were going to be moving anytime soon. But luckily, I managed to get myself in a ditch, and I just kind of stayed there. I didn't know what was going on with my car, so I tried to call 911. The irony of this accident that just happened had clicked. Because whenever my car came to a halt, all I could think to say was, thank you, Jesus, thank you, Jesus, thank you, Jesus. That's all I could say. Because I was also in shock, too, so I couldn't really move for like a few seconds. And then I got out of my car, and I looked around. I guess I didn't look around it diligent enough because I missed the fact that my tire had slid off completely off of the rim. I came to the conclusion of that when a bystander who actually happened to know on a personal basis, my principal of my private Christian academy, he's like, hey, I'll go up here to where I get a signal and I'll call my principal's name and I'll tell her about your situation. She got the call, sent one of my good buddies. Shout out to Travis for doing that, because I admit we were not on the best terms with each other at that certain moment in time. We kind of had some tension between each other, but now we're of course we're fine now. We're perfectly fine now, but we had some tension between each other, and I just want to shout him out for coming out there and helping me out, getting me, picking me up, and just being a good friend, because without him, probably would have had a bunch of cops out there. Those are the few accidents I've had in my life. Mind you, after this had happened, I was in so much shock. I didn't have no pain all day. I was pretty much numb in all of my nerves, because I was like still shaking. I was still shaken up from the accident that had occurred that very morning on my way to school. I'm so excited to answer that text, but I'm in the middle of a video. I could have ended up in the hospital throughout all of these accidents. But after that whole day had settled down and everything, and I started to get some back pain towards the end of the day, I'm like, it's probably nothing. But then it got so much worse as time went on. Weeks flew by, and I was in so much pain in my back. And I realized it was from the amount of shock, the amount of tension, the amount of times I was possibly jerked around in the middle of that whole ordeal, that my back had gone out. My ribs were out of place, way out of place. I had trouble getting them back in. But yeah, those are the accidents I've had throughout life. And all of these accidents, mind you, could have landed me in the hospital. And one of them actually did land me in the hospital. Just want to spread awareness to everybody at the same time. Be careful for what you do. Be careful for how you do things. Watch your surroundings. Be careful, especially about how you're operating a motorized vehicle, because those things are thousands of pounds. And if anything were to happen, thousands of pounds, probably tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars down the drain, probably even in medical bills. And I would not like that for you, and I know you would not like that for yourself. So please be careful, stay safe, especially when you are operating something such as big as a motorized vehicle. I figured I'd get on here, tell you guys about that stuff, and spread some awareness, and I hope this reaches a lot of people. But remember to always be safe, you guys. I love you guys, and again, if you're new to the channel, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed. We're trying to reach 10K. See you in the next one.